We're in session Transform or Die, how Prudential adapted to a new world with Office 365 and Azure. My name is Gary Sherman.
And I'm Juan Mendoza.
We are from Prudential Financial. We are a financial services firm headquartered in Newark, New Jersey. We have approximately 50,000 employees worldwide with customers worldwide as well. So we're here to share our story today about our transformation to Office 365. The company made a strategic decision to move to the platform approximately 2014, 2015. All right, it's a strategic decision to modernize our collaboration platform. But we're not here to tell a story about migrating to 365. If that's the session you were expecting, this is not for you. So what we're going to be talking about today, and a lot of the themes that we'll be hearing, is really how our organization transformed in many ways, with our people, our systems, and our processes. Right? So a lot of that included many learnings, adapting to change, making sure that we're growing our talent and our people. We'll be talking about governance today. We are a financial services firm, in ways that we had to look at operationalizing some of these new capabilities in different ways. And of course, making sure that we're always focused on our business partners. Right? Juan and I work for the technology organization at Prudential. Right? So we're there to enable technology for our businesses to drive business output. So that's always a primary goal. So we're going to be repeating these themes this morning to talk about how we accelerated the technology in our organization. So just to start with an initial landscape for when we were looking to move to 365, overall we were planning for multiple tenants. Primary one in the US, which is right there in the center, about initially planned migration for approximately 30,000 users in the US, and also a good population in the EU, with a phased-in approach. So to, number one, start transitioning our technology organization with a phased-in approach with our businesses, with a fast follow with our Japan tenant and our Japan colleagues, who also have a very similar number, a large number of associates to migrate. Right? So that was the landscape that we were looking at, and again, multiple geographic locations, different countries, different policies in some cases. We had to deal with coexistence between our legacy platforms. We were primarily an IBM Lotus Notes shop. So we had to plan for using both Lotus Notes Mail, using Outlook Mail at the same time for a certain period, using Same Time and Skype initially. We got some help with some third-party vendors to assist with that, using ExpressRoute for network controls, moving our company to Office Pro Plus from some of the older versions. Right? And like we mentioned, we're a highly regulated financial industry, so we have a lot of controls that are already in place, legal, privacy, compliance, and whatnot. So now moving into a new world in the cloud was definitely an eye-opener in making sure that the things that we've implemented in the past, that we can establish similar controls to always ensure we're safe, secure, and compliant as an organization. Excuse me. So we spoke about not just a story of migrating users to 365, but in fact, it was really a modernizing of our collaboration as a company, right? Also the way we look at application development, and also as a culture, right? So we didn't want to just do a migration, but we really wanted to change the way people work. So this is just a quick spoiler slide to give you a little idea of some of the things that you'll be seeing next. So back in 2016, when we first started the migration, and we were transitioning and planning for some of the capabilities, migrating off of our legacy platform, we had several thousand Lotus Notes applications that we were going to migrate. 365 and SharePoint was one of those target technology solutions. And I could tell you that today, in 2019, our organization now uses SharePoint Online for application development and other collaboration capabilities. This exists both in our US tenant and Japan. We use OneDrive for all users on the US tenant with some minor exceptions. Japan, I think with the information barrier capabilities that we've seen this week, I think possibly you'll be a driver to getting OneDrive in Japan. Our organization has rolled out Microsoft Teams. We are in early stages right now with Power Apps and Flow, and have done a lot of other large initiatives already on SharePoint. So that's just a little spoiler about some of the things that we've already accomplished. So I'm going to take a step back, and I'm going to let Juan take over, back where we started, and some of the things that we had to consider as we were planning for our transition.
All right, thank you, Gary. So OneDrive, SharePoint, what's the point? It's 2015, and we're trying to find the purpose, right? At Prudential, whenever we launch a new project, a new initiative, we really start with the why. So we don't turn technology on just for the sake of turning technology on. We wanted to find the key drivers, what would have the best positive impact on our end users. Because again, like Gary mentioned, Prudential isn't necessarily a technology company. We're a financial services company. How do we enable our employees to do our job, right? Before we can get there, we have to understand the tools ourselves. And that was a challenge in and of itself. Again, because we come from a legacy platform, a lot of these tools were completely foreign to us. We might have a bit of experience with OneDrive just from the consumer side. Obviously, everyone uses Office, so that's okay. But when it comes to SharePoint and all of Skype and the rest of the Office 365 suite, a lot of that was all new to us. So we had to figure out, how do these things work? What's the best way to deploy this? How are we going to introduce this to the end users? And all of that essentially to get to a point where we are able to convey the benefits to the end users. Because we can't have transformation within the organization unless the end users themselves, the employees, really buy in to the products and the services, right? Again, we didn't want it to just be, or they'll have some new icons on their desktop. We really wanted to stress that it's a new way to work. And if we look at technology as tools, and that's what we're doing with Office 365, we wanted to use these tools to help us address a lot of the challenges that we were seeing then, right? Whether it's overcoming any of the technology challenges or any of the specific challenges that come from the business. So 2015, we had 3 key initial drivers just around collaboration and modernizing our platform, right? File sharing with OneDrive. Now, I don't want to necessarily preach to the tech choir here on all the benefits of OneDrive, but it was really going to be a new way for our employees to look at file sharing, right? Collaboration centered around SharePoint. We wanted to migrate from our legacy IBM collaboration platform into a new world, and wanted to look at SharePoint more than just a file repository. Wanted it to be a solution that users can request for project management or for knowledge management, right? And finally, application development. As Gary mentioned, we had a lot of legacy Lotus Notes application that we were looking at SharePoint to be more of a platform, to allow for rapid application development, where users would be able to stand up a site and get their line of business application set up, right? But in order to really execute on these drivers, we needed a bit of structure, we needed a bit of governance, and that's everything that you see in the blue. So we needed our information architecture. How are we going to configure our user profiles? How is search going to work? Are we going to have corporate taxonomy? These are all things we had to figure out. Security and compliance. Again, being in a financial institution, we have a lot of regulations that we need to adhere to. So, for example, records retention. Every single file that gets uploaded needs to get stored and retained for 7 years. What are we going to do with operations and support? If an end user has a question, our help desk needs to be able to answer them. So we had to train them up. And user experience. How are we going to introduce this to the enterprise? Are we going to partner with specific businesses? What made the most sense? Gary?
So, you know, as we started this, this transformation, there were a lot of considerations, you know, that Juan just mentioned, and we talked about these capabilities, these business drivers that we were looking at that we wanted to offer, right? So we really needed the power of our people to come together. We have great people at Prudential, our engineering teams and our technology organizations, our information security department, which we could have accomplished nothing without, our developers, our architects, and there's a lot of folks that are needed to come together to ensure the governance as we, you know, go to this new platform. So we have a privacy office at Prudential. We have a law department. We have a records retention area. All of these aspects and people coming together, all the representatives from the businesses. So all these people exist at Prudential, but in the beginning, there's just, you know, one slight problem. This is all brand new to everyone, right? No one understands how this new platform works. And, you know, as Juan mentioned, so like cloud file sharing, this is something that perhaps some of us in our organization were doing at home. Maybe our children were using these types of tools at school. But for a lot of people in our organization, it was foreign. You know, co-authoring a document in the cloud, sharing a document very easily. You know, all these things were foreign to a lot of folks. So not only with the capabilities, but understanding how they work, any of the risks associated with them, the security around them, all of those aspects, our whole team that was responsible, all the groups that I mentioned, legal, privacy, et cetera, right? Everyone had to come together to make sure that we understood what tooling was necessary, what capabilities did we need to implement, perhaps to implement a certain control, right? Perhaps some of the controls or tooling that we used in the past were not going to work for the future, right? So there were a lot of people that we needed that were unfamiliar with this. We had to get them together and collaborate with all these groups. And, you know, in a very large company, getting all these teams together, I mean, it's pretty simple task. I think that was one of our easier jobs, right, Juan?
If it was simple, I don't think anyone would be here. Yeah.
Right. So my point is, in the beginning of all this, that was probably, you know, even though some of the basic business drivers here seems, okay, relatively simple, but because we're starting out at the beginning and this is foreign, that was probably our biggest mountain to climb, right? But we did it. We got the folks together. We went out, road shows, went and had 20, 30, 40, 50 meetings, whatever it took, with our legal departments, et cetera. Show them the tooling, the controls, working with our information security departments, working with our Exchange, SharePoint engineering teams. Right? All of us coming together to make sure that we're not just going to migrate users to a new mail system, but offer a new experience and a new way to work. Right? So these are the things that we had to do to come together, in addition to our development, our architecture teams, to understand how can we leverage the SharePoint platform going forward. Right, so we keep talking about compliance. I mean, it's a part of everything we do, right? So we're always navigating those compliance waters. So with aligning those teams in the beginning and coming together, hearing the concerns, establishing directives early on, and a lot of the governance subjects that we covered, this is just a very, very small handful of some of the things that were part of those discussions and some of the early stages of implementation, right? So no external sharing. We had to implement our retention policies. At the time, right back in 2016, the current Office 365 security and compliance suite was not as mature as it is today. So we had to develop our own custom tooling around that to ensure that all OneDrive sites, SharePoint sites have retention policies. Right? No Office 365 group creation. Again, one of our other compliance requirements, we need to capture audit events. So the unified audit log, we need to capture all of those events. We're using third-party tooling to do that as well. Those events need to be retained. We learned the hard way that there was something available that people could spin up their own trial licenses for products, as we suddenly were realizing one day, why are all these licenses starting to show up? So making sure that we put as many controls as possible to ensure that we understand our environment, that it is controlled. There's a lot of changes, obviously, that go into 365, right? No PII data in OneDrive and SharePoint, right? And one of the biggest aspects to our strategy and how we move forward is also with the utilization of the SharePoint Online platform. The big joke at the time was, Gary, when are we getting SharePoint? So, that was a great question. So what does that mean? Right? It meant 50 different things to people. So what we looked at was, how can we really leverage the power of this platform by, number one, ensuring that we can control the provisioning of SharePoint sites. I mean, a lot of you have probably already seen, other custom solutions that organizations have implemented to control sprawl, where they implement a request process. So we know we wanted to do that, but not only that, but making sure that what we are delivering is correlation to the business output, right? So at the time, we had a legacy system as well for wikis. We thought, okay, that would be a quick win. We'll start there and we'll move forward. But we want to offer these as a flexible system where people can request different types of sites for different types of business use cases. And we did not want to be a blocker as the IT department. We wanted to allow the rest of the company and departments to be able to easily, quickly accelerate the tools that they needed, right? So in thinking about all of those things, in trying to prepare for also knowing that not everything fits the mold, we had to come up with a way to accommodate custom solutions as well, right? So we built out a system and processes around that so that we can offer these services and future ones in a very more flexible and nimble way. I think I was going to steal a word from the week that I heard several times, democratize, right? So we wanted to really democratize technology at Prudential. So Juan's going to tell us a little bit about
our delivery system. All right, so what do we mean by service delivery? To us, service delivery isn't necessarily just a provisioning engine, right? It's not just a piece of software. If we're to look at the truck in the box here that I originally put there just to add a bit of iconography to the slide and make sure it's not just text, but we could really look at that as a metaphor, right? A metaphor for how things work outside. If you order something online, what's that experience? What's that delivery system? And it's really made up of the infrastructure, the technology, and the people and the logistics that go behind implementing something like that. So how did we accomplish this at Prudential? Well, we decided we were not going to reinvent the wheel. We're going to leverage some existing resources that were going on. One interesting fact is around the same time we were looking to implement Office 365, Prudential was also introducing a new IT service management platform on ServiceNow. And within ServiceNow, we were developing a new service catalog that is the launching point, the portal for all the employees to go and request IT services. And that's MyProIT. At the same time, moving to Office 365 means we can now leverage the power of the cloud and the power of Azure. Azure would allow us to scale and to use SaaS and use the PaaS services to really have the flexibility to deliver on what we want to deliver, our solutions, right? We also had to transform the way that we, as an IT organization, develop, what our developers, and we have some of them here. I'd be remiss if I didn't give them a shout out for all the work that they did and just how they were able to transform and upscale, and we'll get into that in a bit. But yeah, around the same time, there was also a huge agile shift happening across the company. So we shifted from working in a fall methodology to now in Agile, where we have dedicated Scrum teams composed of developers, product owners, QAs, and they work in sprints, and they have potentially shippable code every couple of weeks. And then the tool upscaling. Our developers had to learn brand new software, brand new languages. It's no longer just Lotus Script and X Pages. Now we're dealing in C# and using the PNP and the SharePoint framework. All these things had to go, and they had to learn in order for us to be able to deliver on this, right? And our end result, our goals, what we really wanted to accomplish, again, is something that's scalable, flexible, patterns-based, something that we can easily repeat across multiple offerings and multiple technologies. So, you guys want to take a peek behind the curtains to see how we were able to pull that off?
Yes.
Not all at once, guys. All right. So this is how we were able to put the pieces together. So within ServiceNow, again, ServiceNow being our ITSM platform, we have our MyProIT, which is our catalog. So a user would be able to go there, submit a request for whatever service it is that they want. Again, initially we were just extending it with an enterprise wiki offering. We have workflow in there with some approval. Once that approval goes through, ServiceNow then sends that along to our provisioning engine, which is an Azure application, obviously in Microsoft Azure. So Azure, we also host our database where the request and all the information goes through. The provisioning engine is able to then invoke the different templates that our development team developed and uploads to Azure through Azure DevOps. Again, new tools that we had to learn and adapt. Then our templates would call the appropriate Office 365 APIs, provision the site on our US tenant, and send a notification to the end users. Right, so that's what it looks like behind the scenes. Now let's show you guys what it looks like from the user side of the house, right? So this is MyProIT. It is the landing page. Up at the top, there is a link to the product catalog, which we'll show a little later. We also have a link to knowledge articles. So every single item that we have available for our users to request has its own dedicated knowledge article, so they can learn more about what it is that they're requesting, right? You'll see that there's a search bar there. Users can easily search for what they're looking for. And there is a little orders section. So we wanted them to have a similar experience to what they would see in the outside world. So if you order something, you can easily track where it is in the process. So this is our actual product catalog. In it, you can see that users are able to request things like servers or more storage, et cetera. But it does have a large Office 365 and a large SharePoint footprint. These are some of the sites that we offer. We have a communication site, which is our take on a standard out-of-the-box communication site. We have what we call a do-it-yourself site, which has nothing to do with HGTV or any home repair stuff. It's just a team site that allows users to be a bit more flexible and allows them to do a bit more. Then we have our enterprise team site, which is really catered just for smaller scale. It has a bit more guardrails built into it. So clicking into any of these offerings, users will get a form. Again, there will be a description up top that describes what the SharePoint site is, what they can use it for, et cetera. Then going down, we start to collect some of these fields that help us, not only provision the sites, so we ask things like, what should the site be called? What URL do you want? But we also collect things around the user, right? So who are you? What department are you in? What type of information are you storing in the site? Is it replacing any type of legacy systems? And that really helps us manage and keep track of our SharePoint sites and our offerings, right? So this is something that we also use to go back and recertify the sites annually. So users will get a notification, says, hey, are you still the owner of the site? Does it still have the relevant permissions, et cetera? So we were able to accomplish all of this. A user is able to go in, fill this out, and within minutes, they'll have their site provisioned. That's kind of the employee experience that we wanted to drive and what we were really striving for with our service delivery model. To talk a bit more about how we engage our employees and the employee experience, I'm going to hand things off back to Gary.
Thanks, Juan. And just to add a few more things to what Juan said as well. So we started with a wiki site, and over the years, as other sites became available, communication sites is another example. We were able to add this to our engine, so it evolved over the past few years. And I just want to give a shout out to our Primerica Systems Ireland team who built this site. So there are our architects, our developers, our QA teams. Who are based in Ireland. They're a wholly owned subsidiary of Prudential, so just a big shout out to them as well. And I know some of the other things on the horizon for this provisioning application is, currently right now, the development team in Ireland, in Primerica, they are the ones that are building out these templates, maintaining the application. But moving forward into next year, we want to have a facility where businesses can submit their own templates. So the businesses who have their own development teams, right, can have the facility for providing their own templates that feed into the engine for provisioning. So just a couple other things to mention. So we've talked about the ways we transformed our technology teams, our governance teams early on. We've talked about how we've transformed some of our systems. So what else? We had to transform our entire organization, our employees. And with that and with offering all these capabilities, there was definitely a need to make sure that we're engaged with our employees. So just a few things to speak of there is our Office 365 program team had established a ambassador network, so a group of people representing all the businesses throughout the company who meet regularly, who come together, who can provide feedback about some of the new capabilities coming down the road, providing any other challenges that they're having, questions about new capabilities that are being planned. So that has been a great facility for having a direct voice with those folks and staying engaged. At the same time, as we're offering new products and services, SharePoint sites, other things within 365, we'll offer preview programs to our departments, not unlike what Microsoft will do as a preview program. So we'll put out a pilot group of users. Maybe it's a SharePoint site, maybe it's some other type of feature or offering in 365. We'll make that available. We'll get their feedback and then react to it. If it's something that we want to move forward with and offer to the enterprise, we do so. Some of the other processes that have come along with making sure that we're engaging. We've established a new products process, so we all know that 365 is a platform of change, so anything that's being announced or something that's going to be planned, we want to make sure that we're staying ahead of it and making sure that, again, all those teams that have now aligned, especially on the governance side, right, it's the same 20 questions that are being asked. How is this data being used? Where is it being stored? How is it being retained? All of those same questions, right? We go through the processes. We have to understand, all right, is this something where we need our legal team or not? So we've established lots of processes to make these things go a lot smoother. Prudential has conducted its own technology internal conference now for the past 2 years. We call it Spark. Our most recent one was this past April, where our attendance more than doubled from the prior year. And our vice chairman of Prudential, Rob Falzon, was actually opened up the conference as a keynote speaker, which I think is a testament to our senior leadership's commitment to technology and empowering the employees within our company, right? And I think that reminds me of a comment Satya made at his vision keynote as well about looking at all organizations as technology organizations. So that's something that Prudential is aspiring to be. Microsoft Teams Day of Learning, we've began to offer department-wide, company-wide learning sessions for Microsoft Teams as the company moves forward for rollout. And we built out a technology resource center site where users can go. It's a SharePoint site, We've established all the trainings, the links, the materials that they need for any particular product, whether it's something, a new feature. How are we, how do we need to communicate the file sharing feature within 365? This is a great vehicle for implementing those communications. So we've talked a lot about transforming, and we definitely have talked a lot about change. So there's change every day in our world, and I think all of us in this room recognize that 365 is no different, right? There's change sometimes every hour, every day, every week, right? And there's various types. There's new products that are being announced for maybe a month from now, maybe 6 months from now. With aligning our teams and our new processes and our engagement, we make sure we get ahead of it. Is there a business need here? Is there an opportunity? Is there business value that we can take from it? So those are the things that we continuously focus on. There are other types of changes we see in the behaviors of the platform. I mentioned file sharing behavior as one. So there are certain things that perhaps don't need as much attention, but perhaps we need to just make sure that we're communicating it to our users, right? So there's a lot of aspects of change, and I think with the ways that we've really come together, aligned our teams, has made it a much more easier process. So apologize for the eye chart on the screen, but this is just a buildup of a previous slide, right? Just to kind of demonstrate what we've been talking about with the ways that we've transformed. So I think this model best represents kind of the way our organization, with the products and services and the functional teams that go into it, and the aspects of strategy and governance, and how we're going to offer that service, in what way, what type of governance do we need to put on it, do we need to put customizations on it, and then how are we going to establish the platform management. So we've gotten much better, right? Compared to 3 years ago. So we've now established a much more better oiled machine, right? Where we have functional teams that are assigned to various aspects here. Our information security department and the law and compliance teams, right? The folks that are now very familiar with all these aspects that we review periodically. The product teams and delivery leads, whether for new products and services that we're offering, and again, platform management becoming much more mature in our organization to make sure that we stay secure, compliant, and safe as we're offering new services. All right, so this model and the ways that we've been talking about transforming has definitely accelerated our ability to offer new technology. This is just a quick picture, an example of the active SharePoint sites that we have. So we have several SharePoint offerings, but in addition, as Juan showed with our MyProIT technology request system, we have other things as well. But some of the offerings here, this goes from 2017 to the current day. So this represents a lot of the sites that were requested in our MyProIT system. It represents some of the custom applications that were developed using SharePoint. And it also represents a good portion of our corporate intranet, which we'll talk about in just a minute, right? But we don't measure value or KPIs just based on the number of sites that are being requested, right? What we really want to understand is where is the business value and what we're providing. So this slide is a summary of some of the application migrations that have been going on now in the organization and continue to proceed, and showing some of the Office 365 solutions that were used for particular business drivers, whether it was simple reference or collaboration, or perhaps approval tracking, case management, knowledge management. And I thought this was a good way to demonstrate that there are different types of these technologies Some of it's sites, some of them are other Office 365 solutions. Right? So we're looking at about 715 applications alone as a great target using these solutions. Full transparency, we have about, today, 300 completed with another 415 to go. All right, so that 300 is baked into the prior slide with the 1,000 sites. All right, so we still have some work to do, but these are our business drivers and the applications that we're currently migrating. You'll see that they're not just SharePoint sites. We also have Azure applications that we've implemented. The provisioning application in our MyPro IT system is one example. Right? We are just now in early stages of Power Apps and Flow, although I shouldn't say Flow. Right?
Power Automate.
Power Automate. So I said adapting and learning would be part of our presentation, so actually our presentation had to adapt as well. So with Power Apps and Power Automate, we currently have a small number of applications today using these tools, right? And we're looking at that as an opportunity as well to continue to offer, particularly for applications moving forward as another great technology to leverage. So we've spoken about a lot of different capabilities and the fact that we've been able to accelerate that delivery. So Juan's going to just tell us what have we done even within 2019 and a lot of the ways and other things that we've delivered just this year.
So early this calendar year, we were able to launch our newly designed corporate intranet site, which we call Vision, and it's completely on SharePoint. And this is the first true test of scale for us adopting SharePoint at that level, right? So our intranet is something that gets hit every single day. Every time someone launches their internet browser, up pops the site. So there's lots of daily users on it. We get over 1 million hits a month. Each of our different corporate business units also have their own dedicated profile page where they're able to post news and information dedicated to their department. They have their own content team that, again, continues to publish content out there. Moving on to a bit more of the technology side, this is another example of where we had to adopt, learn, and transform ourselves. Early on, while we were planning on relaunching Vision, Microsoft releases communication site, so we had to shift gears. Then around the same time, they introduced the SharePoint framework. So now this was something that we definitely wanted to leverage and extend. So we're able to now build our own custom SharePoint web parts, some of which we have listed here for deeper integration, right? So we have custom web parts that allow us to really target our user base. Let's say, and this is a real life example, the city of Newark decides to host the MTV Music Awards this summer, and a city that is normally already congested with traffic is going to have even more traffic. So everyone that worked in the Newark office now gets a little alert saying that expect some delays in traffic. MTV is in town. We're also able to deliver web parts that allow our end users to subscribe to certain pieces of content that they might be interested in, right? So whether it's learning more about culture and purpose, or if they want to subscribe to new technology innovations across the company, that's something that we allow users to go, click, subscribe, and now they'll start to see more content around those types of topics. We also have a customizable dashboard that's built on top of the application customizer. That's what you see up top. Users are able to customize and add quick things and have a more tailored experience that's specific to them as an individual, right? And because of the way we develop things, right, having everything be a packaged solution, we are now able to bring some of these web parts, package them up, offer them to any other employee that has their own communication site, so that now they're able to leverage some of the same capabilities that our development team implemented on our corporate intranet. So real quick, this is what our full vision site looks like. Up at the top, you'll see that there's some deeper links that tie into other Prudential systems that sit outside of SharePoint and Office 365, like Team My Actions. That's where you would see, hey, you have timesheets that are due, or there's some trainings that you need to accomplish. Right below that, you'll see that there is another navigation bar. And again, that is what was built on top of the application customizer. There, users are able to add shortcuts to some of their most accessed internal systems, right? Whether it's you need to request paid time off, or you want to find out what's for lunch. That is something you can easily add up top. We have a search bar that we had to kind of hijack and customize to allow for custom content types and custom refiners that weren't there just yet on the modern SharePoint framework, right? And then below that, you'll see some of those daily new articles that we saw. And just moving on to another one of our big initiatives that we were able to do this calendar year is Microsoft Teams. So this past summer, we were able to roll out Teams to over 35,000 users. And that's a significant number. And I'm saying it's a significant number just because of us being a financial institution with a lot of regulation, right? And that's something that's made all the more difficult when you realize that Teams isn't just Teams. So because behind every team, there's an Office 365 groups, now we're introducing a group mailbox, an additional SharePoint site that needs to get managed, a security group, right? Now, because it's also an Office 365 group, you're going to start seeing all these other entities pop up in other Office 365 services. So whether it's application, workspace in Power BI, that's something that, again, we had to run through our governance process. We had to understand the technology. Now, groups are also planners, and the planners are groups. So how do we introduce that? So it's truly a testament of the model that we had in place, where we're able to take all of these disparate systems that come across from Office 365 and be able to deliver it and tailor it to our employees, right? Chats and workspaces now, through Teams, it's not just, it's robust enough where it's not a simple collaboration platform. It's also where you can chat and post messages. So teams that normally handle those different work streams, again, had to come together to be able to deploy this across the enterprise. And across the enterprise, Teams is a completely different paradigm shift in the way that employees operate. It's not just emails and sending messages back and forth, right? Now we're dealing with channels. So again, that's where we had to engage our audience and truly ensure that they're able to use the system properly. So I say this to say that based off of the model, based off of the fact that we're able to have that delivery system, we're now also able to offer a physical team in My PruIT. So again, using the same methodologies that we showed earlier for the SharePoint sites, we're able to collect information. It goes through our provisioning engine. Out comes a Teams in a secured, scalable, packaged manner. And yeah. So I'll hand things back up to Gary just to wrap things up. Sure.
Thanks, Juan. And just to point out too, like even with the My PruIT system, whether it's sites or someone is requesting a team, right? So we also capture the metadata that's behind it to also support us in the management of all those entities, whether it's a site, a team, an Office 365 group, right? So that is a big way that we also leverage that entire system. Right, so we've talked a lot this morning about transformation, right? But it doesn't end, right? That's why we're all here at Microsoft Ignite, to continually hear about change. What are the things that we need to prepare for? Similarly, at Prudential as an organization, we do the same thing. And it doesn't end. You always have to stay ahead of the wave to understand where we can get business value, and that's key at the top there. Employee engagement, to make sure. Right, it's not just employee engagement, but business engagement, to ensure that what we're able to deliver is driving those business outcomes. And that is our focal point, to make sure that everything that we're doing is providing that business value. right? And then as we're, I think even too with our Teams rollout, just to mention as well, not only the 35,000 plus users, I think in Japan, they're getting ready to do a rollout next year as well, which is really exciting. I want to thank everyone for coming this morning. It was a pleasure, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.